So I'm standing here in front of the Exeter Cathedral, and it's a little bit overtaken by the Christmas market, and there's also a lot of noise from the construction going on. Some buildings have burned down recently, but it's still a very beautiful building. It's one of the main tourist attractions of Exeter, and I get a lot of pleasure out of just looking at it. It is all the details, all the workmanship, it's really impressive. However, I think it raises an interesting point when one thinks about it in a little bit more detail. So my observation would be that most of what you see here is largely unnecessary to the function of the building. And I'm probably not saying anything new with that, but if you were to think about the fact that people essentially needed a place to gather, and the rest is a show of social status combined with probably a very honest and genuine desire to deliver aesthetic beauty. But if we look at what this building delivers and separate it into different needs, I think one of the main ones is a gathering place, and probably 99% of the effort on this building is not serving that need. And that ties into the point that I want to talk about today, but I'm probably going to do it somewhere else because it's really noisy here. So, if you've read Jake DeSillis's Job Free, you will know that there are 4 ways to quit the rat race. And in case you haven't, I will give them to you. So number 1 is extreme saving. The idea there is to cut down your expenses significantly while maintaining a regular, preferably reasonably well-paid job. And if you do that in 5, 10, 15 years, you are capable of accumulating so much capital that you can then live off of that income that it produces, your investments produce. Number 2 is on jobbing, where you get rid of your traditional day job and you kind of become, I don't know how to put it, a small-time entrepreneur. You kind of do jobs that you enjoy more. You pick up different things that you're good at, but you will not get such a high rate for it, and it's not going to be steady, but at least you will be able to live without having a 9-to-5 soul-crushing, etc., etc. type of job. The third way is the lifestyle business, where you design a business that you don't need to put a lot of effort in. So you purposefully make it so that you only need to invest a little bit of time into running it, and that it produces continual income for you that you then live off of. And Tim Ferriss is a big proponent, or at least probably the most popular proponent of something along these lines. The fourth one is, I don't remember actually the name the name from the book for it, but it's basically building and selling a business. So you build up business. This is not a lifestyle business, so this is something you put some serious effort into, and your goal is to raise the value of the company itself. So in essence, you're kind of saving into the company to the point where when you sell it, that lump sum you can then use to invest and live off that investment. So those are the 4 ways, but an idea that popped into my head recently, and it's not fully developed, but I want to give you a teaser of it, is that there may be a 5th way to quit the rat race. And I showed you the cathedral because I think the people building it didn't consider very carefully what needs they were fulfilling by building it. That is my impression, and it's of many other buildings. It's not the cathedral itself. I think you could have got, maybe not the status, but you could have gotten the meeting place need and the aesthetic joy need met much more simply, much more easily. It would have been finished with a lot less work and a lot lower costs in a lot faster time, but I don't think they did that. And what I realized when I was thinking of my income is that I also didn't do that, because Up till recently, I had a need called financial safety. I have a list of core needs, and safety is one, and a branch of that was financial safety. But as I thought more about that, I realized that it's not a real need, and perhaps some people could have pointed it out very easily, but I don't need money. And you probably heard this speech before, but I think there's a profound truth in it that people don't realize, that I haven't realized. And that is that you really don't need money, and it's more useful. You can get a lot more value out of what you're doing. You can hone your strategy a lot better if you break down why exactly you need the money, why exactly you need financial safety. And I think if you look at it, you get things like the basics, right? Food, shelter, things like that. You can split those up, and for each one of those, you can find alternative strategies of meeting those needs, to the point where actually earning an income, or earning an income that it's in any way significant, becomes redundant. And you could say that that's kind of a form of unjobbing, but I think the mentality inherent in it is so unique that this could be a fifth way of breaking out of the rat race. And I would call it either extreme need reduction or alternative, I don't know, alternative need replacement, something like that. I'll have to think about that. But there could be a way that would forego all the four and be a separate one on its own. And an example that comes to mind would be, if you live in the woods and you live off of berries, yeah, very simple. You've quit the rat race, and you haven't done either of the four ways, I think. Essentially, you've done something radically different from that. But you've quit the rat race, so it's a basic example, and I think there are many interesting strategies here that I'm not going to go into. It's like things like freeganes, trams, etc., etc., that, yeah, kind of hacked the system, and they've created the fifth way. And this fifth way, I think it's worth exploring, and I'm personally very interested in it. And even if I don't go all the way, I think there might be some lessons there that can be applied to optimize my life.